Three letters continue to invoke emotions among racing fans worldwide. S-P-A, and that spells Spa. From Formula 1 to touring cars, GT3 to Le Mans prototypes, everyone knows Spa, loves Spa, and holds Spa to the highest regards in motorsport, along circuits like Le Mans and Daytona. And for that reason, we've got more action from Spa this evening on Pit Stop TV. Hello and welcome to Pit Stop TV then, and the BSRTC Winter Series. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with JP Costa alongside, and JP, welcome back to Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, where more than 30, working on about 40 of Britain's best, are warming up their very own touring cars.
Yeah, Andrew, it's an absolute pleasure to be back here in the BSRTC series. Well, it has been an absolute blast. I have been counting the days, just like I was for the MX-5 series, to be back at Spa. Obviously, we had an amazing 4 races on Tuesday, and well, we're gonna have another 4 amazing races tonight as well. Obviously, quite a different car aspect. Obviously, front-wheel drive, different powertrain, all this sort of stuff. But I guarantee you, it's gonna be just as fun.
Yeah, everything about the cars changes from Tuesday to today, but the track does not. We are still on Circuit de Spa. Granted, we are on the Grand Prix pit layout, which means that drivers will actually be able to exit the pit lane. If they need to use the pit lane for some reason, they'll be able to exit right up out of La Source into the inside line and go out towards Eau Rouge with the rest of the field. It's Spa. We know it. We love it. It's, I mean, do we really even need to go through a walkthrough of the track? Everybody knows this place, and especially all these drivers. They had a warm-up on Thursday, or on Tuesday then. In fact, they had 4 warm-ups in those Mazda Miatas, so a good chance to get warmed up here and get back into practice.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you mentioned it on your intro. You know, everybody knows Spa, so this track map is absolutely nothing new to anyone. We all know, we all love it. You know, each and every single corner, I'm pretty sure someone has that as their favorite. And well, I absolutely love this racetrack, and I cannot wait to see touring cars tonight doing it. I haven't had the chance to drive touring cars on this track, so this is going to be a new experience, and I can't wait to get it underway.
Yeah, it'll be a bit different. There we go, for me as well. Seeing front-wheel drive cars here, I think, is going to be different. Usually, there's a few different corners where you see some oversteer, maybe understeer then in different corners with these guys. Only time will tell. We'll see how these guys transition. Point standings, that's kind of the big talk of the town for most series, and it's the same thing here. Jaroslav Segler that comes in with a 15-point lead over Tom McMahon. You can see Adam Shepard there, 2 wins in 3rd, Ben Sharp in the top 5, and Chris Knox, the one driver in the top 5 with no wins so far. And look at that, Nathan Davies, Pro-Am driver, is in 6th place overall in the points, and Lee Holmes and Scott Malcolm join him in the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very, very close top 10. You know, we can highlight the 3 Pro-Am drivers on it. I'm really happy to see them here. And the gap between Davies and Holmes is absolutely massive. It's near 100 points. And obviously, as we look down from 11th to 20th, you know, it's dominated by either Pro-Am drivers, and we have Morton in 17th as an amateur driver. So as we have on Tuesday, we do have, you know, an amateur driver on the overall top 20, which is really nice, showing, you know, just really highlights some of those drivers. And obviously, after 4 races tonight, Andrew, this could shape up a lot. This could really change. We can have more amateur drivers. We can have less more Pro-Am. You know, everything can change after 4 races.
I mean, the top 16 as they stand overall is made up of 8 pros and 8 Pro-Ams. Literally a 50-50 split in the top 16 points. That's for the entire series as a whole. That's not just for any one class or even any 2 classes. That is insane. You mentioned Roger Morton there in the top 20 as well, 17th spot, and inside of 200 points up to Jaroslav Segula, doing a great job of just keeping himself. And you can see he's got over a 40-point gap back to 21st and back to anybody else in the amateur category. He's got a large cushion right now, even after just 2 rounds, 8 races of 36 on the season. And speaking of multiple rounds on the season, what we might have to look forward to the rest of this winter season, well, there you go. Donington Park and Brands Hatch got us started. Now we're at Circuit de Spa, replacing Oulton Park, which I know is, you know, unfortunate. I'm right there with everybody who misses Oulton Park on the schedule. Hopefully we can get it in for future seasons, but Daytona International Speedway next week and so on and so forth throughout the season. Spa is pretty important now. I think a lot more important than round 3 was going to be before, because this track is so spread out. If you make one tiny mistake, generally that's going to compound into larger mistakes, and you're going to fall a good ways back.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something we saw on Tuesday. Sometimes a small mistake can really cost you a lot of positions, especially because on tracks like this, the whole pack is going to be running together. As soon as you break away, as soon as you lose that gap, that slipstream to the driver ahead, it's going to be extremely, extremely difficult to build that gap back. So you're just going to be falling away. So this could be an important track, even though it's only the third round. It could set a few stones for the championship, I'd say. Obviously, Daytona is a bit more of the same, very fast racetrack. But I don't think it will be as drastic as this one. And then we come back to Britain. We come back to the UK, Knock Hill, Snetterton, Silverstone, and Brands Hatch. And then we go, to Australia, Mount Panorama. It's going to be really fun. And, it throws a spinner in the mix, doesn't it, Andrew? Having two large circuits and then coming back to the local British circuits. It's fun, but it's also challenging.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to round 5 at Knock Hill. Daytona's great. Spa is great, but I'm excited for Knock Hill Racing Circuit to finally make a debut here on Pit Stop TV. First with January 25th's action with the Mazda Miatas, then January 27th here with BSRTC. And then, of course, on to Snetterton, Brands Hatch, Silverstone in there as well. 4 great tracks in Britain left to go, and of course the 3 international tracks that we have yet to run on here with BSRTC. Daytona next week is going to be a whole lot of fun, but qualifying is underway here at Spa. It's currently none other than the one, the only Adam Shepard right back on top of the series. So fast at Brands Hatch last week, I didn't think he could continue it quite like he has so far, but he is quick.
Yeah, he definitely quick, and obviously this first race could set, quite a few precedents, I guess you could say, for the next 3 races. So it's important for you to get, good qualifying result to make sure you start, further ahead in the grid. It's usual qualifying, isn't it, Andrew? You want to start as far away as possible in the front, but, especially on series like this where we have the spinny wheel of fortune or misfortune, if you're some drivers, it could change a lot. You can start from first, and then the next race you could start all the way down from 40th.
And somebody who was affected greatly by the inverts at Brands Hatch was Shane Piggott. Got moved all around the field. Currently leading the way in Pro-Am qualifying, 7th on the board, just ahead of Nathan Davies, another driver who got moved around quite a bit last week by those inverts from the spinning wheel. We'll see how things sort out. Chris Knox, he joins the rest of the field in the top 10. Love the multicolored Lego livery there. Carl Hardy, a Pro-Am driver, makes it 3 Pro-Ams in the top 10. James Neve looking pretty good. He's 11th. Michael Steele in 12th. Jamie Goodall in 13th. All Pro-Am drivers. Your first amateur driver outright is going to be Craig Schill back there in 14th spot, some 2 seconds off a pole currently.
Yeah, Craig Schill is second overall in the amateur championship, so he's looking to get that first place back, leading his championship once again, his class at least, obviously. And right now he's doing everything that he can, ahead of Morton, just barely, not even barely a 10th of a second. So it's really, really close. As you can see now, the 992 of Roger Morton on screen. A really striking livery, isn't it, Andrew? I feel like that green just really suits the Honda Civic.
That's more yellow to my eye. But you know what? I've been told that what I see as yellow is a bit more green to others, so I get it. Yeah, it's tough to say. That's kind of that one kind of in-between color. What do they call it? Chartreuse, I think. It just kind of fits right in between those two. But yeah, Roger Morton looking great on the racetrack again. Points leader coming into today in amateur, and I think is going to hold that unless something really odd happens. As long as he's able to compound a decent little bit of points, he should at least come out on top or even with any of his amateur competition. A couple of pros that are way deep in the field that are concerning me so far are David Crozier, who was real fast last week, real fast at Donington as well, and Max Hart, who's new to the series from what I can tell. Max sitting down here in the 18th spot. Even James Clark, one of the pros, is mired well deep in the field, 25th of 26 cars to set a time so far.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? The top from 11th to 20th, we only have 2 pro drivers, and the rest of the field, the rest of the top 20, I guess you can say, it's dominated by Pro and Pro-Ams. As you can see here, a bit of a car park, especially on bus stops. So this is where drivers will be lining themselves up, especially here. You can see 2 teammates lining themselves up, probably to help each other out. And, well, Clark is definitely going to be taking advantage of it, getting a double slipstream down the Camel Straight. This could really push him forward in the timing sheets. And
he needs it because he just took his last lap. He just started his final lap here in qualifying. With 1 minute to go, he'll get a chance to finish this lap, but the time will expire somewhere around Lacombe, if I am somewhat correct. And James really needs this. He is 4.5 seconds off of pole time. And again, that puts him down in 26th of 27. I'm not entirely sure who he's trailing. Let's go ahead and find out. He is trailing Rob Baker, actually, in the 51 car. Teammates with, it looks like, if I can get the number on the car ahead. I'm still, oh, that's Tom McMahon. I'm still learning the BSRTC teams. I've about got the Miata teams down to a science, 5-star motorsport in the lot, but I'm still working on these TC teams for sure. As James Clark follows them through Lacombe, and he will, I guess he'll get to Bruxelles before that time expires, but he's still got to make the most of this lap time and try and work up the board.
Absolutely. Coming downhill from Bruxelles, you can see those two teammates ahead, as you mentioned, McMahon already, quite creating a bit of a gap, I'd say. So might not be the best track for Clark. Obviously, only time will tell. Sometimes, your race pace is just way better than your qualifying pace. But looks like he's trailing. He's losing a bit of pace compared to those two up ahead. But, on the back straight, not a back straight, I guess you can say, on the final part of the racetrack where we have, the fastest part of the circuit, coming into Blanchimont and the bus stop chicane, that's where you can really make up a lot of time. We saw on the MX-5s that time, over 3 to 4 tenths of a second just by the slipstream. So that could be a really, really advantageous straightaway for you to make up some times, especially for trailing, the leader by quite a few seconds.
So qualifying going to come to wraps here. Still watching James Clark on the track. Now working on down out of turn 15 and the such, and he is going to, well, if we can get it to come back up, here's the timer, and we'll go on board with him. Having a couple of technical difficulties. JP, if we ever have a day where technology plays correctly, I will give you $500, and I don't mean that.
I'll play.
I'll
play the lottery,
but I do mean that.
And I'll play the lottery, so I guess I'll win both ways. But yeah, James Clark is going to try to win the lottery on this qualifying lap. Might improve, actually, just barely 235. So does he improve? Yes, he does, but I'm not pretty sure how much. Around 2 seconds, didn't he? He moves outside of the top 20
up
still,
to 21st. Up to 21st, right behind Sam Smith by a little over a tenth. So still a really good lap there. Up front, Adam Shepard still your pole sitter. The pole for Pro-Am now is going to go the way of Nathan Davies as opposed to Shane Piggott. That kind of happened as we were watching these guys finish up their lap times. So now Nathan Davies is ahead in Pro-Am. Carl Hardy will start third of those drivers. Michael Seal fourth. They'll be spread amongst the top 10 and top 15 or so once we actually get the green flag here today. Weather, in case you're curious, because that was a big topic of conversation on Tuesday, it's pretty standard. I don't feel like that's anything too crazy. It's a little overcast, a little bit moist out in the air, but nothing too crazy.
No, absolutely. Seeing those winds at only 2 miles an hour, it's kind of refreshing, isn't it? After seeing over 30-mile-an-hour winds on Tuesday, it got quite crazy, I'd say. Those trees were definitely shaking, definitely a few leaves coming out of them, but yeah, 2 miles an hour, as we just saw. Looks like Rose got the pole position just on the time, as the checker flag dropped. So yeah, so
Good
a change for pole position.
Good eye there. Aaron Rose will take pole and move that number 8 car ahead of Adam Shepard in the starting order. Of course, it seems like, and we put a little bit less stock in the grid each week because it really does seem like the grid doesn't matter a whole lot to these guys. They seem to always find a way to mix things up entirely by the time they get to turn 1 or 2 even. We saw that a whole lot going to Druids last week. Yep, that was a whole lot of fun. But also you're at Spa, of course, you go down to La Source and you're usually 3 wide headed down to turn 1, and then if you make it out of turn 1 okay, and you work up the hill, you've got Eau Rouge and Radion to try and navigate through, and if you somehow make it to Lacombe without any damage, you're probably doing okay. You're probably going to have a pretty decent race, and that's when we start to get an idea of how these battles are going to sort out. So, watching Craig Schill finish up his qualifying run, looks like he will not get back to the start-finish line, but it's worth it to take an extra few laps, extra few corners, and see what else you might be able to learn, like maybe don't go off track right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Off tracks have been quite a talking point. We saw a few drivers, maybe just 1 or 2, getting penalties on Tuesday. So, it could play, a bit of a factor on tonight's race. I highly doubt it. But, with how big the field is and how close some of these guys racing, we don't account for 4Xs that may occur to netcode. So, penalties are still very much on the game, aren't they, Andrew?
That they are, and somebody who knows about pushing boundaries at racetracks and potentially getting those penalties is the one Ben Sharp, where he is currently watching along and just saying hello quickly over on the YouTube chat. We have got a grid of cars to work through. Let's try and get through most, if not all of them here, JP. Starting on pole is going to be, of course, Aaron Rose, as we talked about, just right at the back end of qualifying, getting that top spot now over Adam Shepard, who will start from the second spot. Starting third will be Tom McMahon. You got JB Mesita joining him in that second row. Then it's starting fifth, Rob Baker, teammate to Tom McMahon. Nathan Davies will roll off sixth, the Pro-Am pole sitter. Starting seventh here at Spa, it's Chris Wood. Shane Piggott, one of the highlights here in the top 10, starting 8th as a Pro-Am driver. Chris Knox joins the top 10, and Carl Hardy there in the 10th spot, one of the Pro-Am drivers himself.
In 11th place, we're going to have Michael Seal with James Neve just beside him in 12th place. 13th place will go the way of the driver that has a name as, there we go, Jamie Goodall in the 575, and 982 of Craig Schill in 14th place. He's going to be the amateur pole. In 15th place, we are going to have the driver of Roger Morton, so his closest competitor in the 992. And in 16th place, we're going to have Nathaniel Goodman in 16th place. 17th place, row number 9 will go to Paulo Cole in the 911, and the number 9 of David Crozier in 18th place. And finally, rounding off our top 20, Max Hart in the number 2 will start on the inside line in 19th. Alongside him, Sam Smith in 20th place.
Let the rest go by on the bottom of your screen, and you can pick out where your favorite driver might be starting this race as we get ready to go racing. Red lights are on. That means green lights are soon to follow. Some 20. Oh, false start there. And green flag will fly for the rest of the field. You'll see the rest of the grid go on by on the bottom of the screen. A bit of contact there through La Source. 3-4 wide for some cars as they work on through. I think most of the field is okay. I see nobody stopped just yet. Single file for the most part up front. The first side-by-side for about 10th or so, and they work on up Eau Rouge. Nice and cleanly so far. Mind your P's and Q's, guys. Up Eau Radion, most of the field coming on through. I see one way out in the dirt. Not the dirt, the runoff. I think that was Craig Schill, one of the 88 tech guards regardless. Everybody else comes over, a bit of puff of a smoke, and I think, JP, I think we're okay.
Yeah, I think that's the whole field making it through the sector number 1. We saw quite a few contacts last time out on Tuesday, but looks like the whole field, as I mentioned, makes it through in one piece. Oh, just as I mentioned that, there we go. Andrew, commentator's curse on lap 1 of race number 1. Scott Malcolm, unfortunately, looks like his bid for race number 1 might just be over even before it started, actually.
And he's not the only one. Carl Hardy's in trouble and is already towed back to the pit lane. You can see his car in shambles as the rest of the field now works on through. They will work on down to Puan, it looks like. 4, 5, 6 Hyundais all leading the field, and it is JB Mesita putting pressure up front on Aaron Rose.
Aaron Rose trying to defend that lead. We all know how difficult it is, especially with the slipstream. With only 15 minutes, he cannot really use any sort of strategy on the pits to essentially pull away. So, well, at this point, what do you do, Andrew? Do you just defend? Do you let them go? Do you just plan a retribution? What do you do?
Well, it's lap 1 of race number 1. I don't think there's too much on the agenda for these guys right now other than make laps and make them cleanly. Just get around this racetrack, get through the first race, see where you get sorted as far as the invert, and go from there.
Well, absolutely. That's going to be one of the strategies. Obviously, we just saw 2 cars, unfortunately, not making it the end of lap 1. As you can see, 2, maybe 3 cars going extremely wide on the exit of turn 15, as now they head into the final straightaway, heading into Blanchimont. Looks like the whole field seems to be in a straight line so far. And looks like we do have a bit of a separation between packs, don't we, Andrew? So quite a few battles for position ended up, well, as you can see, scattering the whole field.
The leaders work on through the bus stop chicane for the first time. And the lap number 1 complete, going the way of Aaron Rose out front, just a half second back to JB Mesita. Your first side-by-side battle looks to be back here. Chris Wood, potentially, and Michael Seal. No, actually, Shane Piggott gets on by Chris Wood, rather. Michael Seal is the car behind that number 20. So, Davies might have that Pro-Am lead, but Shane Piggott is not letting him get away just yet.
No, not quite. Looks like he might just be on the edge of getting that slipstream. 1.3 might just be too far away. But if Davies start battling McMahon, well, that gap is definitely going to shrink unless they work together as a team, essentially, to, get close to the top 2. But so far, Piggott right now is going to have to defend from Wood. I'm not quite sure. He's already going defensive, trying to get a little bit of a toe. Really, will we see a move on the outside by Wood? He's going to try it out. Brake Piggott already on lap number 2. Looks like they're going to go side by side into the braking zone, but no. Looks like Wood just, hangs back a little bit. It's only lap 2. Decides to wait and, well, take his chance on another corner.
Aaron Rose, JV Messina now into Bruxelles for the second time. A wide line there from Rose, but I think it works out on exit. Gets just a little bit of a jump as they work down through No Name. And the rest of the field comes on through. I noticed Fiona Siddons and one other driver making maybe a little bit of... Well, actually, Duncan Cope is dropping back. Duncan Cope has an issue there out of Lacombe and Malmedy. And now, I think, gets back in and will rejoin race pace. But I noticed the 912 headed back pretty quickly as Fiona Siddons has some company here. Jamie Tonks and Glenn Humberstone going to try and get on by that of Fiona in the number 927.
So this move could be done. As you can see, some drivers, well, looks like they're eager to get the position. Oh, Fiona with a massive drift. Can they save it? Oh, we're nearly going 3 wide into Puon. That doesn't happen. Fiona's going to be on the inside line for turn number 13. Can they defend it? No, not quite. It's going to have to yield that position for the time being. And that's how easy it is to sometimes make a mistake on Spa, Andrew. That's just how easy it is to concede a position as well.
And this is back here just outside of the top 20. 20th place currently going the way of Luke Kidsley. 21st is Ollie Ricks. 22nd, Adam Fox. And 23rd is that number 4, that black and gold Hyundai of the name, I just had it, Jamie Tonks. In the number 4, Fiona Siddons then in 24th, and 25th the way of Glenn Humberstone. Here's a nice little battle as well, a little further up in the field now, as Adam Watson and Adam Watson, I think, just served a slowdown, just dropped multiple positions, and now slots in behind Mark Johnston and Paulo Cole. I first noticed that Watson and Cole were battling, and even one more position going on by, and again, that was Mark Johnston with the pass on Adam Watson. That is good for 17th, 18th, and 19th, just ahead of the top 20 cutoff.
Yeah, just outside the top 20, as you can see, a few drivers going faster. So those tires are getting up to temperature, so we should see more battles as drivers will get more confident. Now on board again with Watson. He's going to be trying to get the slipstream up Eau Rouge. I'm not quite sure how strong, but yesterday, on Tuesday, the slipstream was absolutely massive on the Miatas. I'm not quite sure how strong we'll be on these cars. Technically, these should be stronger, right, Andrew? These cars have more drag than the Miatas, but, well, we're just going to have to wait and see. As you can see now, the speed increasing, the gap is shrinking a little bit. Might not be too close enough to mount an overtake on the chicane just ahead, but, well, getting closer, that's all that matters sometimes.
Yeah, not close enough for any kind of move there, but rolls right up to the back end of that Motul Hyundai of Mark Johnston. Paulo Cole ahead, one of the new drivers in the series, looking pretty good so far. Top 20 at the moment, at the very least, and in one of our potential invert positions in 17th. And 17, of course, having its own spot on the invert wheel, the spinny wheel that will fire up at the end of this race.
And that position is interesting. Do you play your luck as you have 2 drivers? Yeah, there you go. Going side by side into Puon. Looks like that's going to go the way of the number 2. Oh, they make a little bit of contact, and that's going to allow yet another driver. Oh, even more contact.
And that one car in the grass is James Neve, headed backwards quick, but a good save overall. Very little damage, but there is damage there to the left front. And you know what? That car might be disabled. Considering he's parking it, I think he's done, and he will tow back to the pit lane. The driver he was battling there with was Jamie Goodall for Luxsim 24 Esports. And it was Max Hart in the number 2. So it was Max Hart and Jamie Goodall that made that little bit of contact down Puon. Goodall made the contact at the back end of the number 2 of Max Hart, one of the brand new drivers of the series. Goodall then checked up, drifted, and caught Neve, and unfortunately, that's going to end James Neve's race, and I can only imagine how that one might go down in the review later on this week. A pass further up, Adam Shepard, and Chris Wood, netcode there through the final corner, and that is a spot then if you're Chris Wood in the number 20.
I guess that's an overtake. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, netcode being played, Factor McMahon right now goes fastest. He's in 3rd place trying to get that gap down, but this battle might just be too good. I'm not pretty sure if Shepard will be too happy. He's definitely going to be trying to get, the move back as they head into Lacombe. As you can see, some headlight flashing behind those two. That's going to be Michael Seal, looks like, flashing his headlights to Baker.
and a pit stop. This is very odd. In 15-minute races, you don't expect pit stops, but this is Adam Fox in the pits. And very slowly coming up to his box, stopping, and I'd imagine has a penalty or repairs to take. The top three, they're all nose to tail, Rose, Mazda, McMahon, and they're getting close, I think, JP. I think this could be arguable. When do you battle here? I mean, they're getting close to that point where you have to start battling for this race win.
I think up until McMahon was quite close to them, Mazda was just biding his own time, I'd say, just waiting for maybe even the final lap to, just to try and overtake, to make sure, you're not in the leading position, you're not, vulnerable to overtakes. But now that we have even Davies, as you can see, closing in on the picture, this could get interesting. I'm pretty sure Mazda, might be making a move sooner than later to make sure, he doesn't lose second place and lose that precious spot to overtake the leader. So this could shake up things a little bit. This could put even more pressure on Rose right now to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes, because so far, if he even slips out just a tiny little bit, he's not only going to be losing first place, he might just be losing second and third and fourth.
There is still that gap from Davies back to Piggott, so I think you're pretty safe. If you're in this top four, you can go ahead and start racing here soon. Maybe wait one more lap around. We are on lap 4. We expect 6 laps in each of these races, just like on Tuesday. So we're coming up to 2 laps to go, and I really think at 2 to go, if you are still in the top 3, top 4, even 5, that's when you have to start racing and start setting up your passes if you haven't already. With only 6 laps, you only come up to each corner in each race 6 times then, and really that first lap is a throwaway because you're figuring everything out, trying to get into a rhythm and figure out where you're going to be in this race. You've got to make your moves pretty quick. You don't have a whole lot of time to set guys up. We've seen 12, 13, 14 lap races already this season where you have several opportunities to set somebody up in the same corner. That's not the case here today.
No, absolutely not. Someone that's setting up another one. McMahon, as you can see him, he's already setting up. Even the exit of the bus stop might be seeing a move down into turn 1. There's definitely room and possibility to make a move down into turn 1. Obviously, you'll be compromised on exit. Could we see a dive bomb? Not quite. So the number 66, biding his own time, but he looks quite eager to get past Mazda to try and mount an overtake on Rose on the next upcoming laps. As you mentioned, only 6 laps. That's not a lot of time to just to plan and just take your time. You really sometimes just have to go for it.
You see the gap back to Davies, just outside of slipstream range, I do believe. And especially with McMahon having the tow from Rose and Mazda, I don't know that Davies is going to get any help here on the Kemmel Straight. And you can see the gap is growing as they exit Radion, headed down the Kemmel Straight to Lacombe. 2 laps to go for each of these drivers. The defense there from Rose, Mazda follows, staying in the slipstream. And really late on the brakes. McMahon pressed the issue.
Yeah, really late. He's definitely trying to, not only apply pressure, but even try to overtake Mazda at one point. That move has to come sooner than later. And if those 3 keep battling, Andrew, look who's in 4th place. We're going to have an amateur driver that could be very well in contention for the win if anything happens to these 3. And boy, oh boy, I'm ready to see a 4-car battle, even a Pro-Am being involved in the overall race victory. But if you're Rose, imagine the amount of pressure that you have seeing those 2 cars right behind you and then seeing 4th place coming closer and closer each and every single lap.
Time ticking on down, 3 minutes to go, and this is the penultimate lap. There's really not a whole lot else going on in the field. A little further back in the top 10, Chris Wood is decently close to Adam Shepard. Rob Baker in this conversation as well, just inside the top 10. Michael Seal is close to them, and honestly, Michael Seal in a new paint scheme might have something here for him. In an Audi as well. I don't think Seal was in the Audi previously. Was he?
Oh, now you got me. I can't recall him being in an Audi. We had only a few limited Audis last week, and even on the first week. So could this be, a change? We remember the interviews. Everybody said that the Audi could be a force due to the straight line speed. So, yeah, could be a car change, actually.
Regardless, Seal works up to these guys. 4 Hyundais in a row right in front of him. And if he has any advantage, it's going to be apparent here on this last lap. Up ahead, Mazda and McMahon maybe side by side a little bit there into the bus stop. Mazda keeps the position, and Davies is still just about 1 second back, maybe a little too far back to properly use the draft as the white flag flies, presented by Tucson Sound Art. Will go to the source.
Both top three, well, all top three are still maintaining position. McMahon trying to get a better exit, not quite close enough, not getting the best exit out of illustrious. He's going to be tucking in the slipstream. Mazda already, well, a second behind Rose, so that slipstream might not be as effective. McMahon only a tenth of a second behind, so look as they come uphill. McMahon already getting up, well, higher top speed than Mazda. Will we see a move down into the chicanes? Well, looks like Mazda is going to go defensive. McMahon is going to go to the outside. Rose, who will he give the slipstream? English is falling away from me. They're going to go side by side.
Rose is checked out side by side into Lacombe. Turn 5, turn 6 through Malmedy now. McMahon looking left, and JB shuts the door. So close. That's proper touring car racing right there. Just so close where the bumpers overlap the slightest bit. Kind of shutting the door on each other. And of course, a lot of these guys running without spotters. See how close they are now from the onboard of Tom McMahon. McMahon has a win on the season. I don't recall. I don't think Mazda has one yet, as that's definitely an off track for Tom McMahon out there in turn 9.
Definitely an off track on the last lap. Might not count. He's already going down the inside of Puon. Will they make contact? Just a tiny little bit, not enough to set off Mazda's car. Rose is absolutely running away for the time being. Those two are going to keep on battling. Davies cannot really close the gap. This is going to be a battle for second place, I think, Andrew. And, well, can Mazda hold off McMahon? And, well, a few corners to go only.
Ben Sharp confirming that Michael Seal has been in and out of the entire time. I'm going to be honest. I, for some reason, thought he was in a Honda earlier on in the season, but regardless, he's been in an Audi. These two, though, both in Hyundais. I don't know if there's really any difference between... I think these two will battle the entire day. I really do. Given the invert, they should obviously start right next to each other again in the next race. Obviously, that could change things, but these two could easily be set next to each other the entire day of racing here at Spa. Through Blanchemont for the final time in race number 1. It's Aaron Rose out front. We're watching the battle for second down to the last moments here into the bus stop chicane. Mazda takes the inside lane for the first apex. The second apex then. Oh, the advantage to McMahon, but contact as Aaron Rose will exit turn number 19 and collect a win on the day. Rose, P1, P2 goes to Mazda, P3 then McMahon. The Pro-Am winner, that's Nathan Davies in 4th. Pickett comes across 2nd, and the rest of the field will come on through. Your amateur race winner, as Seal gets a couple of spots at the line, it looks like. Props to Michael Seal, up to 7th that last lap. Your amateur winner is going to be Craig Schill. Watch for a white and green. Number 982 coming across momentarily. And also, drivers, if you hear my voice at some point, please on the last lap, keep going. Don't immediately reset. That messes with cameras, and that's why you just saw it go away from the speed shot as the rest of the field comes across the line to finish this race.
And what a great first race we had. A lot of sub-action, lots of overtakes, even gut-wrenching moments, I'd say, as the rest of the field, as you can see, the final few drivers coming across the line. Andrew, as soon as the rest of the field finally finalizes the race, we're going to have the wheel, the spinning wheel, as you like to call it. And that's going to determine the split, the invert that we're going to have for race number 2. And I'm eager to see what's going to be the number. Could we see a full grid? Will we only see 10, 15 drivers? Well, in a few minutes, we'll have that answer.
Adam Fox, the final car to come across. And he will finish 30th position. 31st is Duncan Cope. Duncan Cope is not eligible for the spinning wheel invert here in just a moment. James Neve, Jason Morris, and Carl Hardy also will not be eligible. They all finish 2 laps down or more when it's said and done. So yes, we've got to get the wheel out, of course. It wouldn't be a BSR day without it. And let's go ahead and fire that up. You can see 17 is on there. We've got 21. A couple of full options on there, 10, and so on and so forth. Let's get that wheel spinning and find out our first invert on the day. It won't be 25. Will it be 15 or full? It is going to be close. 15.
Oh, that was extremely close. Just a few pixels away from full. 15 is plenty, though. I'll definitely take that, and definitely will make race number 2 very, very interesting.
And what that will do is keep all of the amateur drivers where they are, but it will flip, I believe, 4 Pro-Ams. And we'll see exactly who here in just a moment as we work through our race results then. Obviously unofficial. These could at any point change, but this is how things look after race number 1 here at Spa today for BSRTC. Aaron Rose, with that win, he will now start 15th for race number 2. JB Masita second. Tom McMahon third. Then Nathan Davis with the Pro-Am win. He will now start, 11th then? Or 12th? 12th position. When we do the invert, Shane Piggott 11th. You see Adam Shepard, Michael Seal, Chris Wood, Rob Baker, Chris Knox. They all wrap themselves up in the top 10. And we'll flip-flop here in just a moment.
In 11th place will go the way of David Crozier ahead of Mark Johnson. Adam Watson is going to be finished off in 13th place ahead of Luke Kinsley, who's going to be second place on the race number 2. And Jamie Goodall will be, pole position. Max Hart is just going to be missing out on that by around 0.8 of a second. James Clark is going to be finishing 17th place. Craig Schill in 18th place for amateur Victor. In 19th place will go to James Tonks and Ollie Ricks in 20th place.
So Jamie Goodall, that's going to be interesting starting on pole. Jamie was pretty good in that race. We saw the contact with he and Max Hart. They're through Puan. Luke Kidsley will start up front as well. Adam Watson up front. That's going to be interesting. Adam Watson was very, very good those first couple of rounds at Donington and Brands Hatch. Finishing 21st in race number 1, that's Paulo Cole. Nathaniel Goodman in 22nd. Then Scott Malcolm with the very, very early contact. I'm surprised that car made it to the finish. Then it's Glenn Humberstone, Fiona Siddons, Roger Morton, Mark Oliver, Alan Toon on the lead lap. Sam Smith and Adam Fox there wrapping up the 30 cars that finished on the lead lap. 4 cars did not finish this race, those being James Neve, Duncan Cope, Jason Morris, and Carl Hardy. And JP, just like that, 1 race done already on this Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, it just flew on by. Great, lots of actions. Now things will get even more interesting, as obviously with the invert, faster drivers will be further behind, so they will have to make more overtakes. Should bring us even closer action and, more exciting race number 2 should fly on by really quickly.
Obviously, you'll want us to go ahead and stick around with us while we play a couple of messages from our partners here at Pit Stop TV, Tucson Sound Art, Permanent Makeup Cryo in Maine, Whiplash Media, and BAM Racing videos do a whole lot for us. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, JP Costa alongside for the entirety of the day, and we will be right back with race number 2 in a 15-car invert. Do not, and I really mean do not, go anywhere.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas, and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has.